Yeah, hold on. It's airsoft. I think it's time that we on the Gear Locker talk about the Delta Force 1911. But first, let me get out of this. Hold on. Probably got sweat marks all over me, but yeah, that helmet gets hot. Anyway, today on the Gear Locker, we're talking about the Delta Force 1911. Now, I've gotten a ton of questions about this build, so we're not only going to go over some of the accessories that I have on mine, which make it a Delta Force 1911, we're going to talk about some of the real-life examples that we've seen, as well as some of the accessories that you can get that will help your loadout accommodate this awesome piece. I think it's time we just jump right into this. The 1911 has been with Delta Force since its inception, of course, until recent decades. So there's a lot of history in this piece, but really in that 80s and 90s sphere, this is where these things shine. And for YouTube's sake, this is an airsoft replica, completely empty. Don't worry, nothing's on here. Now, let's talk through first the things that I have on my build. The base of this is a WE Caspian, although one that's sort of unique in that it has no markings. It originally came with zebra style grips, but I very quickly changed those out for real 1911 walnut grips. These ones, while they do still have that checkered pattern, don't have the diamond reinforcement around the screws, and this is something that I've seen on Delta 1911s. Now, I picked the Caspian 1911 for a couple of reasons, in that it came with a ton of the parts that I already wanted. But most notably, it came with these slanted grooves. These grip grooves are nice, of course, when you're racking the pistol and all, but on the classic 1911, you'll see them straight up and down. And on other versions, you see them on the front and the rear, which we'll get to in a minute. A lot of the accessories and parts that came included are from Wilson, including the extended slide release and safety features, the safety grip on the rear, although there's many that have made this style. And then of course, this was an add-on, it didn't come with it, but a Wilson style enhanced flared magwell. This is a piece that I put on myself, and it has the checkered rear mainspring housing. Other accessories that I like that the 1911 already included out of the box included a shiny 3-hole trigger and the Bomar style front and rear sights. I love that it had the silver barrel too, but it did also have a silver hammer, which I had to replace for a Wilson style one, of course in all black. This is not a perfect base pistol though. There are some issues with it. Number one, it being a very inexpensive and cheaply built WE. You can get better replicas out there, and we'll mention one. This also had ports on the slide and the barrel. And that's something I'm gonna have to change out. Now, I didn't know that it had ports on the slide initially when I bought it. I just really was looking for these kinds of accessories and of course, the slanted grip pieces on the slide. I can't remember what these are called right now. I keep mentioning them, but I just don't remember the name. Regardless, it's not perfect, and there are other options that other airsofters or LARPers or reenactors have used to replicate this build. But there are key things that if you want to look for one, you have to make sure you pay attention to. Number one, you want it to be a classic 1911 style body. Single stack magazine just like this. No rail on the bottom, although there is a photo of Brad Hollings where he does have a welded on rail that came after the Battle of Mogadishu, if that's what you're going for. And a basic style construction. You can do tons of upgrades to it, but you want the basics. They were issued these 1911s at the armor souped up for them, which is why some people tend to go for the Tokyo Marui MEU. Now, this pistol is actually similar to the one you're seeing here, with the main exception being they also have the grooves on the front of the slide as well. I didn't like that look, and I know some reenactors, and you can see some Delta stuff later on using those. But for all the pictures I saw with Delta Force in the late 80s, early 90s, they only had this rear set of grooves. Granted, that could be incorrect, but let's talk about some of the references I used to build out this piece here. One I already mentioned was Brad Hollings, and in fact, Brad Hollings looks very, very similar to this. He also has a classic USGI slide. That, of course, again, adapted sights, but you kind of see those, especially with some of the CMP releases in recent years. They have a classic USGI frame. It's more basic and needs some love to look like this. Again, that's if you're going for a real one. But you'll also see some photos like the Larry Vickers guide that has 1911s in it. He has one with a green frame, and again, I believe it's similar to this, but he's got the Novak sights, but then he's got one that looks almost identical to this, which I appreciate that. At least I have some reference for the build that I did. But that's just the basics of what I've got in my build and some of the references that I used to put this piece together. In fact, one of my favorite references is a Delta guy, I believe in the late 80s. And he's holding two of these and he's got a dirty grin on his face. I love it. Such a classic photo, and maybe I can recreate that one day. Regardless, this is my setup, and there are accessories that will be needed to run this thing effectively if you want to have a Delta impression. The first of which being holsters. We've talked quite a bit about holsters in my Delta Force Mogadishu videos, but I figured it's good to reference them here. One being the AWS style drop leg holster. This is flimsy, it's got a magazine pouch on the front, you've got some retention here with a buckle, and it of course is drop leg style. It fits the 1911 perfectly, and this one came from Squadron Sew Shop. It's a little firm, but it's because it hasn't been broken in too much. When I do run that Delta kit or put it on for videos or whatnot, I'm often using the Safariland 3004. This is a Glock Safariland 3004, and again, I mentioned that in the videos and I talked about it, but this does fit the 1911 fairly well, actually, and it holds it in pretty decently. Like, it's not going anywhere. But it does work in a pinch. It is a 3004 and it looks like it from a distance. It's not perfect and I wouldn't recommend going for one of these if you want to perfect it, but this is a placeholder for me. The thing is though, rather than going for a standard strap setup later 3004s had, I went for an adapted one, again from Squadron Sew Shop. This has a top leg strap and a lower elastic leg strap with buckles on it. Brad Halling is just one of the guys that has this exact setup that he used. But you can't just live on one magazine. And of course, there's some magazine pouches that are on the chest rig, but what if you want a pistol mag pouch to go on your belt? That's where this comes in. This is a double pistol mag pouch that is rigger made for Delta operators. Late 80s, early 90s, but famously used in the Battle of Mogadishu, this is a simple double magazine pouch that you can attach right to a belt. And this is not original because those things are kind of unobtainium. In fact, I made this one myself. At the time of recording, I only have 3 left on my website, TGL Equipment. So if you're thinking about getting one of these, go fast. They fit 1911 mags beautifully. And of course, are perfect matches for the Delta Force ones used in, again, Mogadishu. But this kind of video is long requested and there's a lot left on the table here. I know. What I want you guys to do is, if you have one of these builds, leave in the comments below what you did. This is my setup and what I understand to be the basic expectations for a Mogadishu or general Delta 1911. But I'm curious what else is out there. So let me know in the comments below. Share the information, share the wealth. This is the Gear Locker. See you guys in the next one. Hardcore military. Oh, I'm out of gas.